Hello, and welcome to the Play Schemas in Early Childhood Ages 0 to 7 mini course. I want to introduce myself. I am Megan, the creator of this mini course, as well as Sleep, Eat, Play, Repeat on Instagram. I'm an early childhood specialist, and I hold a master's degree in early childhood education. I have worked in the early childhood space for 20 years, and I've worked directly with children ages infant to 7 years old, supporting their early learning, development, and play. Play is truly my passion because I understand that it is really the foundation of learning for children. And I want to educate parents on the importance of play and the play schemas so they too can recognize children's play, how they're learning, and support their child's learning growth and development. We'll be learning in this course all about the play schemas and why they are important. There are 9 play schemas. The first one is the play schema of enveloping, the play schema of enclosing. We'll be learning about the play schema of orientation, the play schema trajectory, the play schema of connecting, the play schema of rotation, the play schema of transporting, the play schema of positioning, and the play schema of transforming. So, what are play schemas and why are they important? Play schemas are natural, repeated patterns of behavior that children engage in during play. These are seemingly meaningless, subtle behaviors that don't look like much of anything, but I am here to tell you that they are truly the cornerstones and foundation of learning. There are 9 different play schemas that children use to make sense of their environment and learn how to interact with their world. Play schemas are essential because they allow children to test ideas, test concepts, and practice important skills. These directly impact their cognitive development and they truly form the foundation for learning. The skills that children learn throughout these play schemas form the foundation for their learning in school. And I think that is overlooked and often missed because these behaviors just look normal. It doesn't actually look like they're learning much, but they really are. And this is why play is truly essential and truly creates the foundation for learning later on. Learning doesn't start at 5 years old or in kindergarten. Learning starts in early childhood. Learning starts in infancy. And this is why I created a course all about this. The first play schema that we're going to discuss is enveloping. And what enveloping is covering objects or when children cover themselves and they hide objects. It can also look like dressing up in multiple layers of clothing, when children like to wear multiple accessories, multiple hats at the same time. This is all a form of enveloping. Filling empty boxes with items is also a form of enveloping, wrapping up dolls in blankets, or creating homes for their toys. And the different learning concepts that children learn with enveloping is the concept of object permanence, or that things that disappear or hide will come back. They also learn about in and out, and they simply learn about layering objects. The next play schema is enclosing. Enclosing is very similar to enveloping, except it is a little bit different because it involves creating boundaries and containing things in an enclosed space. This teaches children the concept that if something is enclosed, it is actually separate from what is outside of that enclosed space. So, as in this picture, enclosing involves enclosing these marbles and the circle is completed. Therefore, the marbles are separate. They are in the circle, and that is completely separate from what is outside of that circle. Building a fence of blocks around toy animals, such as a zoo or in a barn, that is an example of enclosing. And building a fort or a tent with blankets. Building a border, a box around a toy car or any other object is also a form of enclosing. And children learn the concept of containing an object, how objects can be in or out, and enclosing actually forms the foundation of letter formation in formal schooling as children learn to connect the lines of letters and finish those lines. For example, when they are creating the letter B, they have to form those circles and finish those half circles and attach it to the line to form the letter. The next play schema is orientation. What orientation is looking at things from a different viewpoint, position, or direction. Such as in this picture, this little girl is looking between her legs. This is why children love to hang upside down. They love to hang from monkey bars. They love to look through their legs or other people's legs. They love looking at the world from a different perspective. This can look like hanging upside down, going through a tunnel. When children go through tunnels, they are now in a different orientation because they are in a different space. It's dark, it's enclosed, it is different from where they were when they were out of the tunnel. This is all teaching them the concept of orientation and how their body can be in a different position. And walking up and down ramps, stairs, or slides, this is how they are exploring the concept of being up high or down low, as well as an incline or a decline, such as on ramps, and laying on the floor to play with toys. Children love to explore their toys from different viewpoints. If you've ever seen a child lay on the floor to roll their car, this is why. They are simply exploring the car from a different viewpoint. And through the play schema of orientation, they are learning concepts such as up high, down low, side to side, upside down. And this also helps with their physical development, their balance, as well as their spatial awareness. The next play schema we're going to discuss is trajectory. And what trajectory is exploring the movement of an object or their own body through air. This is why children love throwing things off of their high chair or a table. They simply want to explore how that object is going to move through the air and what is going to happen once it lands. Where is it going to go? So it can look like pushing a toy car off of a table or a ball to see where it lands. Also, with this concept, they are exploring how some objects are heavier than others and how that impacts how far that object moves. So, let's say a ping pong ball, if pushed off a table, that is going to bounce a lot further than a heavier ball that doesn't bounce. So, children are learning those types of concepts with trajectory. Rolling a car down a ramp, that is also an example. Water play with funnels and cups as they explore how the water moves through the funnel. That is why you may see water tables that have little funnels built in or little spinning parts of the table where they can pour the water down and they can watch how it moves through the different parts of the water table. And simply throwing and catching is also a form of trajectory. And the concepts that they learn with this is how things move and with what type of force or action, as well as how things get from point A to point B. The next play schema we'll discuss is connecting. Connecting is joining objects or toys together, or also linking arms to explore how things connect or disconnect. So all of these play schemas explore the how toys work as well as how their body works. If you've noticed, a lot of these include children exploring toys as well as exploring their body. So in connecting, they are exploring joining objects or joining things like their arms or their legs. Connecting can also look like building block towers and knocking it down immediately. This is why children love to knock down towers, because they're exploring how the blocks stack and connect, and also how they disconnect when they knock it down and the blocks fall apart. Stringing things together, such as the picture, stringing the beads. A paper chain is a form of connecting, or simply stringing pieces of paper or other things together with tape. A wooden railroad toy, that is an example of connecting as the pieces connect together. And magnetic toys or blocks that link together, those are also connecting examples. And the concepts they're learning with this is how things relate to each other, and how two discrete objects are brought together in a semi-permanent way. So blocks stacked together are permanent while they are stacked in a tower, and then they're no longer permanent once they are knocked down. So that is why they're considered semi-permanent. The same with magnetic toys such as magnetiles. They are permanently linked together at first, and then they are no longer linked together. The next play schema is rotation. This is exploring objects and actions involving circular motion or spinning. This is why children love to spin in circles until they are dizzy, because they are simply exploring the rotation play schema, and they are learning from this. By spinning their body in circles, they are learning the spatial relationship of their body and how it is when they spin. And another example of this is opening and closing lids, turning knobs, or twisting toys. This is also why I see a lot of playgrounds that have steering wheels attached, because children love to spin wheels. And simply observing or watching objects spin, like pinwheels, a ceiling fan, or the wheels of a car, and pushing toy cars along the floor and watching how it moves and spins. That is also an example of rotation. And the concepts they're learning with rotation is understanding spatial relationships, cause and effect, and the physical properties of objects. The next play schema is transporting. This is a fun play schema, and a lot of children love transporting. I've noticed, especially with toddlers. And transporting is moving objects or themselves from one place to another. This is why children love filling and dumping bins, or filling a bin with objects and simply walking across the room and dumping it in another part of the room. It can also look like pouring water from one bucket to another. This is why a lot of children love to carry rocks around, or rocks in their pocket. Crawling under furniture is actually a form of transporting, because they were not under the table and then they were under the table. And pushing dolls or stuffed animals in strollers or shopping carts from one room to another is also an example of transporting. And the concepts that they learn with transporting is the concept of in and out, or back and forth, or learning math concepts such as space, volume, as well as spatial awareness. And if you've noticed, this is why I've said that play schemas are truly the foundation of formal school learning, because as you can see, these are all concepts that these children will take with them when they are older. They start in toddlerhood or infancy, and they progress with them, and these are truly invaluable concepts. The next play schema is positioning. Positioning is stacking, arranging, or lining up objects or toys, or positioning themselves on or in something. If you've ever seen a child line up their toys, it doesn't even matter what toy it is, this is them participating in the positioning play schema. Playing with shape sorting toys or puzzles is also an example of positioning. Lining up toys in a row, sitting inside a cardboard box is them practicing and exploring how their body is positioned in a box. And this is why children love to get in and out of bins and boxes. And stacking blocks or nesting toys that fit inside each other is also an example of positioning. And the concepts they learn with this is understanding order, spatial relationships, and patterns and sequences, which is really important for math once they get into formal schooling. And that will be the foundation of that learning. The last play schema is transforming. And what transforming is exploring how things change in appearance and substance through mixing, combining, or altering it. This is why children love to mix their Play-Doh and see it all turn brown, which I've seen many times. They mix all the colors together. This is just a play schema that they're participating in. Also with Play-Doh, they are manipulating the Play-Doh and seeing it transform from one shape to another, from flat to round if they roll it into a ball. All this manipulation that they're doing is participating in transforming. Bubble play is also an example. They're learning how soap turns into bubbles, and once it pops, it's also a liquid. And melting ice cubes in water play, they are exploring how ice is solid and then it is in liquid form. And the mixing of paint colors is also a good example of transforming. And the concepts they are learning with this is how objects can transform from one state to another. They're also learning cause and effect. And they are learning science and math skills of predicting outcomes of materials. So once children are exposed to this play schema, they can probably start predicting that if they pop a bubble, it is no longer going to be a bubble. It is going to turn into little droplets. And children are smart. So the more that they're exposed to these play schemas, they will start learning and mastering the skills. And that is why children often repeat these play schemas over and over and over, because they are trying to master this concept. If they feel like they haven't learned it yet, they are going to repeat it over and over until they feel like they've mastered the skill. And once they do, they will move on from the play schema. So if your child is continuously throwing things off the table, I know it can be frustrating, but just know that they are participating in a play schema and you can support them in a different way. Maybe you don't want them throwing things off the table, but you give them something else they can do, throw another part of the house they can do that in. Maybe they do it outside. And this leads me to my next slide of supporting your child through the play schemas. This is the most important part of this course and why I created it, because I wanted to educate parents on how they can recognize these play schemas and support their children through them, because sometimes the behaviors may not be the most desirable, but they are learning something from it. So the ways you can support your child through these play schemas is number one, providing supporting materials. So if you know your child loves transporting rocks from one part of the park to another, you can maybe give them a bucket or some other object that they can transport these materials. And in the same idea, you can also tailor activities to specific schemas. So if you know that your child is in a positioning schema and they love to sit in cardboard boxes, you can just have a bunch of empty cardboard boxes that they can explore with, and that can be their play for the day. Play is messy, it is unstructured, it is open-ended, meaning there is no end goal. That is the true learning and true play that takes place. And I think it's easy to get caught up in tailoring these Pinterest perfect curated activities for children. And while those are okay sometimes, real play is just explorative. They're just simply exploring how their world works and they want to interact with it and figure out these concepts. So, allowing your child's space to explore and play independently is another way to support them through the play schemas. Just simply letting them be and giving them supporting materials, tailoring the activity to the play schemas, and then just letting them play and not feeling like you have to intervene, not feeling like you have to curate this activity. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be very unstructured. That is how children learn. And the fourth point is recognizing, like I said, that play is messy and unstructured, meaning it may not make sense to you. It may look like it doesn't make sense at all. It's very unstructured. It is very explorative, like I mentioned, and it's open-ended. Children are just playing how they intuitively feel called to play. Like I said, they're trying to master skills. So if they're intuitively in a certain play schema, it's because they are trying to master that skill. But it is just our job to recognize this as play. That is how they're playing. And allowing a child to play repetitively. Children love to repeat the behaviors and the play over and over until they master it. And sometimes it can look like all they want to do is play with rocks and transport them all morning. And guess what? That is perfectly okay because they are mastering that skill and that concept. And once they do, they will move on to the next play schema. And there will be something else they're trying to master. They are wired to act on their environment. They are wired to want to master these skills, and we should want them to master those skills as well because it is benefiting them in all areas of development, cognitively, physically, emotionally, linguistically. So it's just simply our job to recognize the play schemas, support them, provide materials, tailor the day so they can explore, and that is how they will learn. Thank you for watching this course, and these are other ways to learn from me. You can follow me on Instagram at Sleep, Eat, Play, Repeat. I'm also on YouTube, Megan, Sleep, Eat, Play, Repeat. And you can also book a call with me. I have a link in my bio on Instagram, and you can book a discovery call. You can book a call with me to discuss any difficulties or concerns you're having with your child. I can help you support their play, their learning, their development in all different ways. Even if you don't have a difficult concern or issue and you just want to structure your day, you want to learn more about how you can support them. Perhaps you want to create a routine for them. Perhaps you want to create a supportive play space for them. I help with all of those things. So please, I hope my course was informative, and follow me on Instagram. I share a lot more learning development tips as well. And thank you for watching.